Hello, everyone. This is Tony Bristol with the I Am Cured podcast, and we are on episode 6. And I am just so delighted today to have some great guests on my podcast. And there's a few reasons why I just love these guys so much. One is I initially met them through our lacrosse program that I have coached for several years. And Jack's wearing the Issaquah lacrosse shirt. If you guys can't see it, so am I. We initially met there and have basically not only like been related to him through that program, but also related to him through his recent journey with cancer. And you know, we have a bracelet that our club actually made for us that says Jackson Strong and Tony's Tribe on it. So that's something where we're connected. But you know, I find that everyone who goes through a journey like we have both gone through are forever related as brothers, or however you want to call the relationship. And then really just hear from Jack and Lauren, his mom, here with us about that journey, because you know it's so important for, I think, everyone listening just to hear from Jack in particular about what it was like for him. Like, and I'll ask you a few questions, so you don't need to fully come up with all this yourself. But like, what do you remember the day that you found out what you had? Like, and maybe explain exactly so that all of the people listening can kind of get an idea of what you were diagnosed with, and but kind of walk everyone through kind of that first like experience, and if you can remember that.
Well, what I remember was remember my arm. I knew something was wrong with me, and that I just didn't know what, because I was having like some
some pain
in my arm, and then really bad pain in my leg that sent me to the ER. And then a couple of days after that, I had the MRI on my bone marrow, and they said we needed to get a bone marrow aspirate. And then so we went to Children's, and then we had the news that the only two things it could be are leukemia, cancer, which is or lymphoma, which is both cancers in the blood that will affect your blood and eventually go into your spinal cord.
Mm-hmm. But we thought that it was lacrosse related.
Right? I remember that.
Mm-hmm. Because I played through one for like
a lot of pain.
Yeah. Like it was super painful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I remember those days when you were in pain, and you know, as sometimes I do with my own boy, I'm like, come on, just like strap on those pads and get out there. It's not that bad, right?
I know. That's what you try to do, because it feels like your instincts is like,
right.
You don't want to show weakness.
Right.
Right.
And one of his coaches was, getting mad about them not running fast enough, the sprint and things.
Yeah.
And
I was injured, but
right.
Run.
I did say to him, now, are you really not, are you pushing it as hard as you can? Like, are you sure you're giving it everything?
And I'm like, yes.
Well, because at that point, you're like, the farthest thing from your mind is that your kid has cancer.
Right.
Right? It's like, okay, I've seen this before.
Mm-hmm.
When things get tough, he kind of like, maybe doesn't push through as much, and all that stuff, right, that parents do, right?
Growing pains. I was like, it's growing pains. Talking to all the different moms, like, that had older boys. Tell me about, because it was in his arm, and it was in his legs, and it was in his collarbone. There were all these weird things. But he was diagnosed May 29th of 2019. And they said, you have after he had his bone marrow aspirate, they said you had T-cell ALL, which is T-cell acute lymphoblastic leukemia.
Now, at that time, did you understand what that meant for you? Or were there like so many questions, like, what does this mean? Like, can I just take some medicine and get better next week? Or
is this the good one? That was the question too.
I was like, is this the good one or is this the bad one? And I knew I had known about cancer for a while before, because as you remember, one of our teammates, Jack Steele, had leukemia also, just in a different type of cell. And I like immediately when I heard that, I was like thinking of Gavin immediately. And I'm like, okay, so we have a long road ahead of us. We just have to get through this.
So, so for you, during your journey, like, what did you learn about yourself? You know, whether it was like resilience or, you know, just some things that you like were surprised, you were like, wow, I didn't know I had this in me, or it grew while you were curing yourself, or, you know, what types of things did you learn?
I learned to like try to take it like one step at a time, like try not to like think so far in the future, because when you think very far, you get lost, and you just got to take it one day at a time. Like maybe it's not good this day, but I think it's going to be better tomorrow. Or, hey, we did great today, I think we can keep going and get better tomorrow. And like just having a mindset of going one day at a time.
Yeah.
That too.
What was that?
I said, what about how strong you are?
And I'm like,
because I think you realized there were a lot of things that seemed impossible.
I know.
Like, impossible, Mom, that I could take all of these pills in pill form.
Oh yeah.
And not liquid. You know, he had to take, I mean, there were days where he had to take, God, like in a whole day, probably
10 to 15, 20,
each time,
25, sometimes even 30.
Sometimes you thought, I can't do it, Mom, I can't do it. And then all of a sudden we turned it around. And then I think you realized how strong you were, like how you were able to get through so much. And you began to have a lot more faith in yourself about what you could do. You always had such a positive attitude.
You know, and that's one thing. You know, I had the opportunity right after I got diagnosed in October. I went to a business convention, and my partner arranged the opportunity for me to have a one-on-one with a keynote speaker, who you probably won't know who this is, Jackson, unless you're a huge basketball fan, but I got the opportunity to meet Magic Johnson. Do you know who Magic Johnson is?
Yeah.
Yes, I know.
Okay, good. All right. I wasn't sure if your sports love extended outside of, I know football behind you, because I know you got to meet Russell Wilson at Children's.
That was awesome.
And that was awesome. I do want to talk a little bit about that too.
Yeah.
The football, you can barely see it. It's on the top shelf.
Oh, that's so great. So, but I mean, sports are so important to kids in general and adults, right? And so I had the opportunity to actually meet Magic Johnson back in October. And, you know, it wasn't a long meeting. It was one of those where they kind of, you know, put you in a line and you get a picture. But, you know, I had the opportunity. I just found out like 4 weeks prior to that I had this terminal cancer that the doctors call terminal. I don't think it's terminal, but you know, and I was just like, you know, he's dealt with some physical issues himself, right, with HIV, and at a time when everyone said, if you get HIV, you're dead, right? I mean, you don't have a chance. And he's still alive today, like strong as an ox, you know, beautiful guy, just a peach of a guy. And, you know, I was like, look, you know, I was just diagnosed, and I started crying, you know, in front of Magic Johnson. And I'm like, you know, can you give me some advice? I'm just at the start of my journey, and I'm you know, not quite, haven't figured everything out yet. And he just turned to me, and first he said, he's like, Tony, he's like, I got you, man. And then the second thing he said is, it's 100% attitude.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, if you have it in your mind that you're gonna take this thing on and win, you'll win.
Mm-hmm.
If you start doubting yourself, thinking I'm not strong enough, I can't do this, you know,
Mm-hmm.
the worst things will happen,
Right.
you know. And so I love to hear that for you, like you actually got to the attitude thing fairly quickly. And that's what's so great about kids, is that like us adults, we have all these years of cynicism and watching other people die around us. And for kids, they're like, you know what? I got this. You know, it's just natural in who you are. Like you had the opportunity to meet Russell Wilson. I do want to hear just briefly about like what that was like for you, because what was it like when he walked in your room?
It's sort of embarrassing, but yeah, I almost fainted. I'm not
He was
kidding.
not breathing.
I wasn't
Oh
breathing.
no.
My face was so hot. My hand, like when I have a thing that I do when I don't know what to say. Like I'll go like
On the lacrosse field and
sub
on
out.
football field, he used to, but even when you're not subbing out, when you make a mistake, I noticed the hand would go up, like,
That's education, huh?
right?
Oh my gosh.
Right. And so that's what you did. The daddy was stuttering. It was like a stutter fest. Like,
Oh my gosh.
all starstruck, right? Like,
Oh,
and he was just
how beautiful
amazing.
is that?
He is just the nicest guy.
He really is, like, big hugger.
We're
And
so lucky to have him too.
we
you
are.
know?
Yeah, we already
I mean,
thought it was the coolest.
yeah.
And now even more so, right? It's hard not to love that guy. Like, it just, he had some great, some great like words for us, which we have on tape. So I can send it to you.
So precious.
Yeah, just his pep talk was great. And I did want to mention that, you know, when you talk about the mindset, when we got to the hospital before Jack was diagnosed, but when they said, you need to come into Children's because we noticed some abnormalities in your bone marrow. And we went in and never had been onto the hem-onc floor. And Matt and I were thankfully both together there. And she said, we think he might have leukemia or lymphoma. And Jack turned to Matt and said, Dad, am I going to die? It was the first thing he said. And he said, no. And it was that moment that we decided, this is no. That's
right. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, because I had just heard of so many people who had died of cancer, and I'm like, oh my God.
So I think what I said though, is yes, eventually, but not,
not anytime soon.
It's not going to be the thing. You know, you're going to be old.
Yes.
And you're going to have a beautiful, wonderful life. And this is not going to be it. And we decided, you know, like right then, like, no.
Yep.
We're not doing that because we're positive people. And Jack, from the moment he came out, was the happiest kid ever. Teachers said, how do you get him to be so happy? And we said, it's nothing that we're doing.
Right?
Just
yeah.
And he is smiling. He smiled almost every day, except for right after radiation, right before his transplant.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. There are, like I like to say, there's highs and lows. I like to look at my lows as blessings because they reminded me, one, like how fragile that I am personally, right? Like God can take me at any time, but I know, as I know for you, Jack, that he has bigger plans for both of us, right?
That's true.
And we have long lives left to live of contributing to others, sharing our story. You know, I really get how caring and compassionate you are. And I know that this experience is actually going to be a blessing for you in your life. You're going to look back on this and go, you know what? This was like perfect at the right time to give me who I needed to be as, you know, who I am today. And, you know, it's just awesome to, one, see your smiling face, and two, how like you've really grown through this experience and not let it like set you down or poor me, or, you know, you've definitely had the highs and lows, but, you know, during the highs, you're able to share about that experience, and really let others into your world, and have them be able to experience, like, you know, it's not the end when you find out a piece of information like this, right? It's the beginning, and you're either going to create, you know, how you know, the next Jack, or you're not, right? And I clearly get like who you've created yourself to be as this amazing young man. It was scary at the time. There was probably some fear. There was a lot of that, but like now that you're beyond some of that stuff, it's like, and why I really wanted you on today is so that not only, well, not only that we could get related again, because I haven't talked to you forever, but also that, you know, other families and other kids going through what you went through can really just like get that there's the other side, and there's the mindset of how you can be during it. And it's, you know, as I always tell people, I will never tell you this way is the right way to do it. We'll just show you a bunch of experiences of people who've gone through it, and you can choose,
Right.
like, how do you want to do this journey, right?
Right.
And so anyway, so I just again want to just thank you both